You are now listening to The Funniest Show with your host Donovan Strong O'Donnell. On the episode today we have special guest Andre Hashem.
I'm here with Chicago comedian Andre Hashem.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
I'm here with Donovan.
I've started, this is my first one where I've done an introduction. Every single one of them I'm like, we just go into it and we're talking heavy, real philosophical type stuff, you know, podcast
Put
stuff.
it in post, right? That's the...
I'm going to have to. It's going to have to be me awkwardly sitting there and being like, this is who this guy is, because no one knows.
I do feel like we're about to play chess or something.
Oh, man. Would it be a better podcast if there was a chessboard? Would it be a better podcast if there was a chessboard here, and then I just challenge people at chess, and then if they... But there has to be stakes.
Pride
is a good stake. Yeah, gentlemen's bets are great. I mean, gentlemen's wagers, I think, are totally fair, where it's like, hey, come on, no stakes, buddy. Chill out. It's just a game of chess, you weirdo.
It's just going to be a weevil burrowing into my brain until we play again, and then I also lose.
I bet Raza Jaffrey $50 on speed chess, and I don't have a lot. I lost right away. I was addicted to the money. It was the money that got me.
Oh, was it like playing blackjack? You won, and then you should have bowed out, but then you kept going back, and then you just took your
I wish I should have bet more. I should have learned more of a lesson, because now I'd still do it. $50 it stung a little, but I could do that again.
Yeah.
He was playing speed. Like, I play chess. That's why I would definitely bring a chessboard. And now that you've said it, I think every episode subsequent we'll have a chessboard.
I'm glad I can't.
If you have a potty break later in this episode, there's going to be a chessboard when it reappears. All right, there we go.
Americano shooting through me.
So, but I do like the idea of it's a good way to break up the episode, you know. And I have a lot of a guy like me, he's got a lot of chess.
And if you can play chess, then you can think and talk. Because I'll be talking and then be like, oh yeah, it's my move, and then checkmate. I think that's. Even without a podcast.
And what I think is most comedians are going to be horrible at chess, and I'll just fucking wallop them, just demolish these losers. Like, bro, queen to e7, you're fucked.
Yeah, I was just reminded the other day that there was the 4-move checkmate.
Yeah, I learned that trick, and for 15, and was I obnoxious? Hey, high school friends, you want to play a game of chess? Let me be black. All right, you move first. Let me move my bishop.
You don't even know what you did. Yeah, I have somewhere I have a little third-place chess trophy from the 5th grade that has boosted my ego irrationally about my ability to play chess. And since then, I don't think I've ever won a game of chess.
No, I'm in a very similar position. Anyone who takes chess very seriously will easily defeat me, but anyone who doesn't play chess at all, I will destroy. But the last guest, we played a game of chess right after this, actually, and he beat me, and I had beaten him for years, but since COVID, I've kind of laxed. Actually, pre-COVID, on my desk at my office, I had a chessboard, and the head of our legal team for HR, he would come and play a little bit every day, and
just move a piece at a time. Every day.
Yeah, with 2 to 3 pieces. We played a game over a week and a half, and other people could move. That was the thing. He would move mostly, but other people could move, and most other people were way worse than him, and they would just make horrible mistakes. So I'd win almost every time because people would make mistakes.
You had a whole day to think about it.
Other people would come in and and then I'd get my turn, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I took 5 of your pieces while you thought about that move. I'm glad you spent all night thinking about that move, but I did. But then Jackie in accounting came over. I said the real name, but wrong department, so to throw him off. No, I won't. I'm too lazy. No, I'm kidding. But anything, if we say anything, if you say any hard R's, it'll get bleeped. But.
Funny, yeah. There's the list of hard R's keeps growing.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's at least 3 I think of right off the bat.
Yeah, I feel,
and they're all at different parts of the word, but it's
right. Some at the start, some at the end.
Yeah,
I feel the one where you start with the hard R is a tough one for me. Just being on the spectrum a little bit, it's sort of the sand R, where it's
that's a 4.
I've been called that so many times, and I can't say it, and it's very aggravating.
The dilemma. They talk about that in The Alchemist. It's one of the
That's a book?
Yeah, where they go through this air. And they're like stuck in an oasis. And he's like, I can't call myself. They call me this. I can't call them this. Yeah, that's where The Alchemist appears. It is a book. We read it in 8th grade or high school. It was fun. It was like, it's an easy book. So it was like one of the few I actually was like, I get what this is. I get what the metaphors are here. It's such an easy one-to-one metaphor throughout.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's been bugging me now because I stopped doing like any assigned reading when I was like 13. But now, like there were some books that would have been great to read at the time. And to have that. And it would have been a really pleasant book to read. But then it was like, I just didn't. There's like they were all shitty. There's
like the books that, like the cliche every American high school student reads.
Right.
And we read a lot of books, but they were all never those books. And people are like, those books were sexist. And I'm like, I wish they taught us those books. It's like everyone only reads sexist white, and it was like, I wish we read the white man books. No, I'll say this.
Tough when they're written
I'll say
in the
this.
50s. Like
It doesn't matter what race you are. As long as you're a man writing a book, I'll read it.
Yeah, it could, or just a woman with a male pseudonym.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man. Shout out my legacy Hogwarts lady. No, anyway, that part will get bleeped. Any mention of the most famous, successful author of all time will get bleeped out. Any mention of a book series that made every family come together and read.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
And yet somehow incredibly divisive.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you can't meet your heroes or give them Twitter.
I know. Yeah, it is. What a silly world. But man, anytime I lose my train of thought, that'll also get bleeped. I'll leave it there.
You got to make it seem like, you do the cuts.
Oh, yeah, but anyway, we read this one book. It was called The Painted Drum, and this book should sure get canceled today, which I would love. I would love for this book to get, like, looked at again, but it was like 05, no, it might have been even like 08, so it's like it's like early Obama era, like, it's like white woman just being like so woke. It was this white woman living in like Connecticut goes to like a junk shop and she sees a painted drum that's like from a Native American. She's like, ooh, that's a good drum. I'm going to buy it.
It was like the paint was really just dried blood from when it was originally sourced.
We're going to get to I'm only going to give like 4 more sentences before it's going to be so much, but it's going to be even more. It's not going to be cool. There's not going to be some cool battle in it, okay? There's no blood from battle, which would be at least badass. There's not going to be any like, fucking not, scalping in this. So she's like, I got to find out what this drum is. It's in my house. I wish it was the battle, man. Why can't it just be Custer in the Last Stand, right?
Yeah.
No, but it's this woman finds out. It's like she's like Elizabeth Warren. She ends up being Elizabeth Warren. She's 116.
Yeah.
And then she goes to you actually find out and you get the story of what the drum is. And the drum is there's like in the 30s or something, there's like poor, like some reservation-esque area of New England, which good for them for not getting Trail the Tears out of there. Yeah. Good for them for staying long enough. But she was like,
still some green stuff to fuck with.
But this is where I'm gonna fuck up how exactly went down. But it's something along the lines of she was so poor she couldn't feed her baby, and her baby starved to death in the cold. And she put the bones of the baby in the drum. And the drum is made of the dead baby. And that part is definitely true. And the blood is not our battle blood. It's not cool, badass bow and arrow blood. It's
placenta.
No, it's not even placenta, which would at least be like less horrible. It's like 6-month-old dead baby blood.
Jesus. But at least clean it. Like if you're gonna,
I think it was like a symbol. I don't even know if the blood. I might be imagining the blood because you said the blood, but I am imagining like a baby's hand. He's like do a footprint with how like they do the footprints of the dead baby. Yeah. Oh man. So I lived downstate in the middle of the country for 4 years, and I went to a school. 3rd and 4th grade, I lived in the country, like middle of no town, just rural area. And there was a town like 15 miles away. I went to school there, class of 30 every year, and two of a boy and a girl from my class who I never would have imagined. They ended up together in high school, had a kid senior year. She missed senior prom. He won senior prom. He went. She was at labor. He went to prom.
That's opposite ends of the coin.
Hey babe,
right?
I'm on the ballot. You're
go.
pregnant. You weren't gonna get nominated. You got a big belly.
Yeah, if you do, it's just a sympathy vote. Like, I earned this. I still...
I think it was like a week later, but it was like within a week, 2 weeks. He did win prom king for sure.
I mean,
and then
see why he's popular. He was fucking.
He was fucking not pulling out. And I remember, oh man, I told this kid like we were in art class together and he could draw lines real straight. And I was like, you should be an architect. And then when our fourth grade like graduation ceremony, he was like, I want to be an architect when he grows up. And it was because of what I told him. He said it was like because Donovan said it, and I was like, "Damn,
that's amazing."
Yeah, too bad he
changed his life more than the baby.
Yeah, too bad he didn't follow. Don't think he followed through in any capacity on those architecture dreams. But the baby, don't think the baby followed through in any capacity beyond the. This is where this story's going, by the way. Dead baby stories. That
was
about a week later. She had a stillborn, and they, I guess, still hired a photographer. So the photographer is still there. So she's the first person I saw who has posted, this was like 12, 13 years, this was like 13 years ago, posted dead baby pictures on her Facebook, had a Facebook album of her stillborn baby, and they were like photo glamour shots where it was like, and they're all black and white, thank God.
Well,
tasteful.
That's like,
tasteful
they
dead
used
baby
to do
pics.
that like in the 19th century. Like people would just have their dead kids like in the family photos and stuff like that. And
you just keep them. You hold up, you put them in the closet, you take them out for photo day at Sears.
I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
No, they definitely did the coffin pictures all the time.
Holy shit! So it's like an anti-abortion. Was she?
No, she had no abortion. It was like it's nothing. She had no. What? Let's not bring abortion politics into this dead baby.
Well, no, just like one
I'm
of those,
totally teasing.
those like horrific billboards that you see.
But that's what it looked like. Yes, and I mean honestly, it's like, what if it's like a horrific billboard for stillborns? Like, this is what a stillborn looks like. You sick fuck. Oh man, but she the baby was like black, and it was like all the skin was blackened, and it was really disturbing. It's like the most
the death, right?
Yeah, like yeah. No, from her cheating on the prom date. Heyo. But no, it was like it didn't have oxygen or whatever, or blood or something, and
that's
it was like
wild.
it was like it looked like a blackened, dead, burnt baby.
Yeah.
And
it's
the most disturbing. Yeah. And I used and then it was up for years, and I would just send it to people and I'd say, look at this is crazy. And they'd be like, why'd you send me this? Now I'm traumatized.
But then also, like, why? Because Facebook does like your memories things,
so that's eventually that's probably why she took it down. It was like after 4 of those time hop, because it used to be more playful. The Facebook's like, I think they learned like most of these memories are going to be sad, but it's like playful. It's like time hop. Oh man, it's like, look, you're dead. And like that whole month of that, because it's not just one day of dead baby posts. You're leading into that month.
Right, every day.
I'm going into labor. Matt just went prom king.
The arc from excitement to bummer.
Oh yeah,
that's a tough man.
Yeah,
but in a way, that's liberating, right? Because on one hand, she would have been a young, unwed mother.
Up here, it's liberating. Down there, it's it's the end.
It's still a bummer.
Oh no, it's a bummer. Yeah, it's a bummer for everything. Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. There's like some helplessness. A lot, like some of those people got out of that town, and some of those people I'm sure are thriving in that town.
Yeah.
But a lot of that town, it's like it's a weird level of like helplessness in some ways. You know what I mean?
That could have been the one that got out.
Yeah, that would have been the main. He would have moved to the city, Champaign, Champaign-Urbana,
big town.
Yeah, oh, it's cool that you know what Champaign-Urbana is, not having lived here your whole life.
Well, that's where the University of Illinois is, right?
I think it's a very basic thing to have to know it. Yeah, I hate when you meet people in the world. I was telling you beforehand, the metal woman being proud to not know what Ann Arbor, Michigan is, and she didn't know Champaign-Urbana, and it's like just a proud lack of knowledge.
To be proud to be ignorant is a very strange, or like that's before my time. Like, cause I listen to a lot of like old music.
Yeah,
and it's like people
what?
Are like, what? Why would I? That's before. It's like, but it's before
Beethoven.
My time. Yeah.
Beethoven before my time.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Shit back then.
No words. I think Beethoven.
You put lyrics in their music as losers.
No, yeah. I honestly think Beethoven with Ode to Joy was the first time there was choir at an opera. Or not, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. That's the first time there was opera choir at a symphony. So that's the first symphony with vocals.
Oh, whoa.
Ode to Joy is the first symphony with vocals.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that blew my mind too. And he was deaf. He was like, you know what this needs? People sing it.
To
to keep those separate for so long.
Yeah,
Let's keep the singing over here. I guess operas still exist. So what a weird, I don't understand it. But I don't understand it. That's like some ESPN type like first where they're like the first symphony with.
I mean, opera, I love some,
I love one and only Carmen. No, there's probably more I love.
It is weird that like most operas, you can't understand anything that they're singing, even if you know the language.
No, 100%.
You can't understand. So I don't you're getting it by the tone. So then even why put words?
Yeah, it's very no, it's very interesting. Like, so I saw Carmen in 8th grade. We went to the downtown lyric opera, and one of the there's like a homeless choir of youth, and one of the choir was in our class, so the whole class got to go for free.
Homeless choir is just a very strange.
I know, what's ironic is that
so
what's ironic is our class had a homeless choir. Oh no, not a literal choir, but there was a choir of homeless kids at our school. But the homeless choir girl was one of the richer girls in our class. It's ironic that you can't be in a play. No, I'm just saying but of course the rich kids are the kids who get to go and be in the plays.
Right. Yeah.
But she was it was cool that we got to go see Carmen. It's the only opera I've seen. It's cool because it has like 5 songs everyone should know. You know what I mean? Like everyone should know the Habanero Pepper, which is the main song. Oh
yeah. I didn't know that was Carmen. Because I've listened to those songs like individually. I don't remember like a lot of the.
Yeah, it's definitely not called the Habanero Pepper, but I can't.
It sounds like Habanero Pepper.
I think it's the Habanera. Okay. And then there's there's like 3 more. The Toreador's March is like Toreador, boom, 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 boom. It's pretty badass. You would, and then they have.
Sounds like 3 Blind Mice.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's the same. And I'm sure. I mean, things like that. They have like 4 or 5 bangers. Is all my point is. But and they had the translation. You know, it's in. I think it's in French. I think that's its whole thing.
Yeah.
And even though it's about Spain. I think it's a French opera in Spain, and it's in. They have the English stuff up there. They have like the the caption TV, but it was in 8th grade, and I would never wear my glasses, and so I have no fucking idea what that thing's about, unless I only know the Toreador scenes because he goes Toreador.
Just know it sounds cool.
Oh yeah, no, and there's a few more. It's like, bum, 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 bum. All right, that's Star Wars.
Well, like I remember, So have you seen the movie Amadeus?
Yes.
So that's one of my favorite
movies.
Love
F. Murray Abraham.
Yes. He's great in that movie. And also the dude that plays
he's great too,
Mozart
And he's the guy from Animal House.
Yeah, which is a really strange
1-2
career arc to go from like raucous nude comedy thing to just like, I guess the character still was a frat boy.
He's the straight-laced guy. He's like, because I always looked at that character, and I wish I knew his name, but that guy in Animal House is like, he's not the main top build character at all. He's like the 8th build guy, but I always consider him like the main character of Animal House.
Yeah.
Because he's how you get into the frat. And like similar with Dazed and Confused with like the 8th grader who's graduating, I'm always like, that's who I see myself as. That's how you see yourself through the film. But Amadeus, great movie. Continue.
Oh, well, there's like that. I saw that after Mrs. Doubtfire, so I knew the song like from the Marriage of Figaro opera, from Robin Williams singing it at the beginning of Miss. It's strange, like the weird places you can get culture from.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I remember I knew a really advanced Jeopardy episode, and now a lot of people would know it, but it's from Seinfeld, and it was like, this Chicago club jumps into the water every New Year's Day, and it's the Polar Bear Club.
Oh yeah,
the Polar Bear Plunge and the Polar Bear Club. And I remember I was like 6, and I was like, or maybe 7, and I was like, that's in Seinfeld. Kramer does that, and it was like an $800 question. So I was like, oh man, Seinfeld is so much culture is from Seinfeld, Simpsons, Family Guy. I was just picking up on just like, oh, okay.
It's also funny that the ice baths are so popular now, but that polar bear plunge has
forever.
I mean, they were referencing on Seinfeld 30 years ago.
Exactly, and they've done it here that whole time. I only kind of paid attention to it. It was a couple years later. I mean, maybe when I was 9, I figured out that it was they're actually doing it here or something.
Yeah. Would you do that? Would you do
I would have to train for it.
Start with cold showers, then go to ice baths.
Well, no, I actually. So, have you done any of the beach things where it's like hundreds of people meet up Friday morning and jump in the beach in the summer?
No.
It was a similar during COVID, crazy guy like me was just like, hey, you know what we should do? Like a weird outdoor thing. When he was like, every Friday, we're just gonna jump in the beach at Montrose Harbor, and it went from I think he started at the end of 2020, and then he did it for 8 weeks. Maybe it's 2021, but then last summer it blew up, and by the end of summer it was thousands of people would go to Montrose, and I was like, but this summer I'm getting the beach bod ready, and I'm jumping in that water because I love jumping in there. That's my favorite, my still number one favorite thing to do in Chicago is to jump in the water either there at Montrose Harbor or just south of North Avenue Beach on the pier, where the seawall between North Avenue Beach and Oak Street Beach. Where it's because it's right in front of the Hancock. You just jump in. It's 10 feet deep.
Well, and it takes you like a couple hundred yards out, right? That pier. Are you talking about the pier?
You could go a couple hundred yards. I don't jump that far. I jump where it curves in. So you could jump in at any point, and there's ladders everywhere, and it's all 10 feet deep, and you're just so you just jump in, do a dive.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then that's my number one favorite thing to do in the summer but with thousands of people, I need to get the beach bod going.
Or with thousands of people, you can just bank that some of them will appreciate your physique.
Or I could be in a t-shirt here. I could be in a t-shirt.
It is still a Chicago.
Absolutely.
I love how people make fun of how Houston especially, but how
Chicago.
People are.
No, Chicago is
South, but.
It's one of the ugliest cities. But then I go to certain neighborhoods and I'm like, it's so beautiful over here.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime I'm on Wells Street, I'm like, what the fuck? There's really beautiful people here.
Yeah, that's my So I was in a Section 8 building trying to be a broke artist for a couple years.
Yeah.
But it's on Clark and Division.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know exactly. You're in the high-rise there, that tall building?
Well, no, not high-rise. It's about I think it's 5 stories tall.
Oh, but you know the one skyscraper I mean?
Yeah.
That one's crazy.
Yeah.
I know some stories about that.
And everyone is hot. But it's the dudes are jacked, the women are incredibly attractive, and then just you're walking around as a poor person.
Oh, so you're the Section 8 in a good unit?
Yeah. It's the building.
Oh, did you say Clark and Division?
8. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and you're in the neighborhood. You're the building.
And so
you lived in the 7-Eleven right there.
Pretty much.
That's why that 7-Eleven is so sketchy. Clark and Division. I was getting all my streets mixed up for half a sec. Okay.
It is.
I know exactly where you are.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. That is so bizarre. And Clark and Division is this weird Bermuda Triangle. I literally call it it's because it's right by Viagra Triangle. It's literally not.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. It's this little 100 square feet of it's always shady right there.
Yeah.
That 7-Eleven at Clark and Division is one of the places you can guarantee shit is always
there's a bunch of churches. There's a Christian gym too. And so it was very strange that there's between my building and then the rest of the population, everyone's talking to God, but some people he's speaking back.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. So my godfather, and that building's still there. It's maybe 1 block north of Division on Clark. I think there's a Jewel, but the Jewel might have moved. There's whatever.
The Jewel's still there.
Yeah, I think it is literally just 1 building north. But my uncle, he lived there in the 90s, and that's actually where I learned to play chess, was in that condo. And then
memories.
I know, no, this guy was cool as hell. Died of alcoholism. Great guy. I'll always
happens to the best of us.
Well, he's a guy where it's he's a guy where I know joking on that is okay. If he's not up in heaven, because he's for sure going to hell, but he was listening. He would enjoy a joke, but he was always a dude too that would know random facts that no one else ever corroborated. But they're the fact that he's put them out there, shit. And I'm no one else has ever said anything to contradict those either. You know.
If you say it confidently and hammered.
Yeah. So this guy, he's my my godfather Mike. He was 8 years older than my dad. I think my grandma had 8 kids. My dad was one of the young ones. He was the oldest son, and. But he was just this wild card who was always out. I think he was a North Side presence for 3 decades. Then he died of drinking too hard. But he like bought a houseboat. He used to live on Marina Towers, right, which are like those like not the corncob ones right in the loop, but the ones further south. They're like
I didn't know there was more.
So what are the main ones are called Marina? Yeah, there's two, and they're exactly. Isn't it weird?
Like
it's
one?
Marina City. That's what it's the same, but it's the same shape, and it's like 12. But he lived in a houseboat there. Yeah, it's the same design, but it's I think probably the same owner developer. But yeah, it's Marina City, and it's like at Roosevelt on the river. You would recognize the buildings because they are unique looking. And it was like, he would every winter. It gets so cold, the water that it's hard to keep a houseboat in the water here because the water gets so cold. The boat like contrasts and like every year would flood. And
I've always been waiting, just walking by the marinas, just to see a boat
just
stuck in the ice, just someone who's just
like totally forgot, like, oh shit, I was in Florida.
Yeah,
no, I'm sure shit happens all the time, and but and like you couldn't keep up with the expense. He would be a guy who like one year would live like in a sweet luxury high rise downtown, and then the next live in like a vacancy hotel. Yeah. And he was a steelworker, feast and famine type shit with the economy. But like whenever he had feast, it would just be like money. Like he was the first guy to give me $100 bill, and like the first time I held $100 bill, and then and like I've only ever like I have a joke about it, but I've never really been on boats. like it's crazy. It's like a main vehicle type.
Yeah.
And like there's weird exceptions, but there's
it is. You're not a hot chick, so it is harder in Chicago to get invited.
And if it's the only time I've been like on a boat in Lake Michigan, basically, it was my uncle's, and it was like I haven't 20 years. But then and we took one trip, so he would have to dock it in like Hammond, Indiana.
Okay.
And we took a limo out there, and then we drove the boat back. And that was my first time in a limo. And it was like a limo that was like he was doing feast time. It was like the whole package. I got like unlimited orange juices. I was like 7. But there was like free champagne. Yeah, like yeah.
Oh man, he had all the orange juice.
Well, champagne if you were a grown up, but
right.
I got the OJ. And then and like we stopped at McDonald's because my dad was still cheap.
That is the height of luxury, really.
It for me was and it was like the big real limo. It was cool as hell. But then he drank too much. But he would always be at like weird little. You'd always run into him somewhere interesting. Like there's my godfather. But he lived right there, and so that area I know has been like that weird, sketchy middle ground. But it's also like there's a ton of wealth. There's a ton of like. Hostile, it's like you got to watch out.
Yeah, it's a very.
There's a lot of it's because there's also a lot of drunk people who could easily be victimized. Probably
it is, because I do feel like it's a magnet even for people that don't like maybe live in my building or anything like that. Just because they're all I mean, there is
100%.
I got used to just sleeping through sirens. It's weird now. I've moved at least temporarily into my girlfriend's place.
Yeah.
Hopefully permanently, but that's more going to be on me and my ability to manage my mental illness.
Thank God I pressed record.
That is a real thing. I forgot what it. Oh yeah, but just like it's weird now sleeping in without like it is strange. Like my cousin Vinny.
No, I feel you, man. Where that keeps you up at night.
Where like the train keeps him up, but when he goes to jail and there's a riot, he's sleeping like a rock. Like I feel like that became me, where like I can't deal with silence now. I'll wake up with anything, but I can sleep through constant sirens and fighting.
I kind of think the same about me. My grandma has a beautiful farm in the country, and every time I'm there, I'm like, this is where the killers are. Even though I'm in Chicago, it's like, no, they're in the cornfields. That's where real killers are.
Yeah. Well, that's at least because they can hide the bodies there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's so much harder not to
me,
get seen.
it's really what it is it's just so dark and so quiet.
Yeah. I don't know why that reminded me. There's this, I think it's kind of famous documentary about Russian street urchins. Look, Louis references it in one of his jokes, but I had seen it in a political science class in college. But one of the scenes is like the kids.
Battleship Potemkin.
No. I don't even remember. I think even when you Google it, it's on YouTube. I think it's just under like Russian street urchins.
Okay.
But like the kids go out. He's like, my grandmother lives in the country. And they like go out, and he was like, oh, I can't wait to see her and stuff. And then like the lock is rusted over, and immediately like, I don't think your grandma's here anymore, but they're like still maintain hope, and they like have to break open the lock, and they still have hope. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. And then they just loot the place because no one's been there forever. For some reason, that popped up when you say.
No, I love that story though, and I always love the story. Oh man, I love the twist of like someone being like, yeah, we're invited here, this is all good, and then them bringing people, and then being like, oh, we're not invited at all. Yeah, like we're. This person was not invited to this wedding, and I'm their guest.
Yeah, that. When was the last time you were at a wedding?
I've just now hit my wedding season. All right, we gotta take our first break. So, Andre, how do you ever think about how you're gonna die, and what do you think is gonna be the way it goes down?
I have thought about that every single day since I can remember.
Same.
It's always the same though. Just crossing the street, and probably just not looking both ways. Like,
oh man, that's such a statistically likely way for it to go down. Man, if you would name all my friends who died early, 50% died that way.
That is.
I've had 2 friends die early,
and one was a bus.
Yeah, one was. Yeah, I don't know the full situation, but it was definitely a not good, not attentive driver. And it's crazy, like there's just. That's like the number 1 way. That's like the number 3 way to die.
Yeah, and there's just so much planning. You could be working out.
Yeah, like you can't just accidentally shoot someone.
I mean, you can.
You can.
You're not responsible with
You
firearms.
could accidentally shoot someone in the face and they die. Is going to be a lot more trouble, I think, than if you accidentally just run someone over.
Yeah. Unless you're drinking.
If you're maliciously driving, yeah.
Well, if whoever runs me over is probably it's gonna be like me jaywalking and not looking both ways, or thinking I'm faster than I am, and like pulling a hammy midway.
It's gonna be me running over by driving myself into a tree.
Yeah,
that's how I'm gonna be run over.
Yeah, that's
my own vehicle running over me after I've been flung out the front seat. Yeah. Oh my gosh, don't you feel it's like a little silly? You know what's crazy about Jeremy Renner? You know exactly where he lives. The Donner Pass. He lives where the Donner. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, he lives where the Donner Party was, where they were trapped. Yeah, that whole area of like the, what's it? It's like a big area. It's like Tahoe. It's like it's like that's where the Donner Party got trapped. They were like a mile and a half from like Tahoe. They're like, to me, it just doesn't. I don't get it. Like it's one of those histories you read about, and you're like, you weren't able to get out. What?
This was a little bit avoidable.
It really feels that way. It's like. What? It's still hard to. It's like no, there was a ledge. It's like all the history redeems it to. It's like no, they had to start eating people. And I guess like, obviously the most research I've done is skimming the Wikipedia page on the Donner Party. But this is for sure. Truckee, California, which is a town I've heard of, is where it happened. It's like literally the town street.
It's in California.
Yeah, it's in Truckee, California. And what it was they were like 49ers. I think it was it was a bunch of 1849ers. Going out to the gold rush to San Francisco, and then it was like they were in November. They're like, it's going to be warm enough, but then they got stuck there till March. I'm just very confused. It's like one of those history things. You ever read a fact in history and you're like, I don't believe this.
That,
yeah, and it's just like, but it's like a fact. But anyway, so it's like these bunch of families. They started dying, and they just ate anyone who died. They ate.
Yeah.
And then like I guess like one guy like in like December he like went to like they knew where they were. I think one guy found them and rescued like a quarter of them, and then they came back and rescued another, and the quarter and a half died. But it was like
just on the journey.
But imagine like, all right, I'm going first trip back, and you're like, I'll stay. I'll stay. Billy's looking weak. Yeah.
Like at this point, I've developed a taste for human beings. So guys.
Well, that's 100% like all of it. Yeah. That's where I think America's like connection with cannibalism connects. Is But then it's a thing too, where like 11 years later, there's the railroad, and it never happened again.
If you just would have waited a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I love. I read Mark Twain's like his first thing is Roughing It, where it's just about him going from. It's actually his third book, but he goes from. It's about him like it's him at like 22, and he's going from Missouri to California.
It's his motorcycle diaries.
Exactly.
Sorry,
dude. I would love to do if you're the guy to take me on a motorcycle, do we want to do a motorcycle diaries trip together?
You want to what, like in Chile? Or
I don't know how to.
States?
Yeah, no, South America, and
yeah, we can do that.
And I don't know how to. I don't know how to ride a motorcycle.
Oh, I don't either.
That'll be the fun part.
Can we do it driving then, maybe?
Yeah, let's make it easier.
Put
on
a
ourselves.
motorcycle,
and then we get to listen to the radio if we drive. The thing is, you take a motorcycle, you get no soundtrack.
Yeah, it's just the motorcycle.
Yeah. I do. Oh man, but the thing about it, we do have to make some level of money where I think we'll have to like abandon a rental car like 3 times, right? Like it'll be like, oh, we'll be on some mountain, and it'll be like, all right, this car has to stay here. Yeah. We got to write off this. Sorry, Argentina's budget.
Yeah, just
rental.
you could just have enough money to just keep buying, just really shitty cars along the way. Maybe a higher.
I would do $600. Oh my gosh, I would 100% do a motorcycle diaries-esque trip with you at any point. I'll say this: that is largely why I invited you on this episode. 100%, and you brought it up naturally, I think, was for me to pitch this. Another trip I would take with you is called the Hippie Trail. I just learned about this one. You know about it? It's where you go.
I've heard about it, but I don't.
It's essentially the Silk Road, but it had to close during after the Iranian Revolution. Where
you get like all the hash, essentially just where all the.
Well, it's like a dark website. It's not a normal. No, I'm teasing. No, it literally was. Yeah, it was basically from London to up until 1975. There was a way to travel all of North America or all of Europe and Asia, and it not be and not be in major conflict zones. So any Westerner or Easterner up until 1979.
It's not a straight line necessarily.
But no, it's like a non-existent. Now you're never going to do it. You're going to have to fly.
Oh.
But
was it like underground somehow? Or
no, this was open. Like it was safe to travel across all of Europe and Asia up until 1979.
If you had poppy seeds on you.
Yeah, I mean, even like literally, it was just hippies would do it because it was a cheap. Yeah, so I mean, there was an actual tons of drugs on it, I'm sure, but it wasn't like, and it probably was partly how heroin was being smuggled and all that. But it was like every town, like towns on this route, there was roads that connected from Paris. No, it started in a random town, but it was a Western Europe town, and then I think it was Luxembourg. Yeah, you started in Luxembourg, and it connected to like Calcutta, and then. Oh, shit. And then you could do, you'd fly over like Burma, now Bangladesh, and then you do East Asia, and then that would all connect. And I think it was just because
it was a 60s thing.
It was big from post World War like 45 to 75.
Okay.
Or no, especially the late 50s and so really like the Beat generation. Yeah, it was the Beat. It became the Beat. It was first called the Beat Trail, then it was the Hippie Trail. So yeah, it was like and then but what ended it was. The USSR, Ayatollah. It was a twofer, same year. Soviet versus Afghanistan, and then the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah. Which
really made that really sucks because I've been meeting a lot of Iranian women, and they're really hot. But we can't let them in our country because a lot of our people are racist in our country, but they don't know that the women. They keep forgetting that half of them are women.
Yeah. That's
so here's my proposal. Let's let
them without the headscarves.
I know they don't know yet. Yeah, no. They're still.
You gotta get them.
Yeah, you gotta Google what I Google.
And then refugee camps when they're taking off the hijab.
Oh boy, you see those sharp, those eyes, piercing eyes. They do the slow motion hijab reveal. They're amazing. Thin, emaciated bodies, wet from the Mediterranean sea travel. Oh man, they smell of the ocean. Anyway. Yeah, no. When I was in Europe, I kept meeting and getting rejected by, and that's how I learned how to say Iran. I learned that 3 months ago. I used to call it Iraq, and then, but it turns out it's Iran. And then there were like women who grew up from day one having their moms be like, "We need to get you out of this country." It's really fucked up here to be a woman as soon as you're 18. We're to save up from that. Like, you don't save up to college. You save up for them to go to Europe. To leave the family.
Do the dads endorse it? Or is it
because you're like, this is fucked, man. I don't want my daughter. I got to get my daughter up to...
Accidentally get stoned.
To the jihadist. He's going to blow himself up in a fucking bus in Jerusalem. It's going to be a whole thing. I don't know. I doubt Iranians go to Jerusalem.
Well, there's actually... I did the research. It was like 98.6% of the suicide bombers are male. So that was... I like literally.
Imagine being the one-woman one. I bet you get a lot of attention from the boys. You're in class together. You're like, oh man, she's hot, but I'm waiting for those virgins for later.
She's suicide bomber hot. Like that's
you always,
like,
well, you always hear in like the army, the one girl in like the unit is like a wild girl. Like she has a wild card. Yeah, exactly. And because she has to hang with the boys.
Yeah.
She's a cool. Oh yeah. A lot of times women vet cool chicks, unless they're too. No, most of them are really cool. But that's my whole point. They're down to hang with the boys. They're down to party. They get a little wild. They throw back. It's got to be the same with the jihadists, I think. I think the woman jihadist knows how to party.
Yeah. She's probably also a misogynist. She probably has like hard views on.
I shouldn't be driving. I shouldn't be driving this mission.
The only thing I should drive is the suicide bomb car. Is the gas tank.
Yeah, the only car you should drive is one into an Israeli preschool.
That's you could probably make a joke about women drivers there, but I'll save that for car commercials. I don't know if you've
Isn't
seen
it crazy?
There's a car commercial that's marketed toward women, but the point, it was like a Nissan commercial that they have like parallel park assist. And the commercial is for women that are like, oh, I hate parallel parking. And then the car does it for them and they're all excited. And I'm like, I feel...
That's hilarious because I know the American version of that commercial because I think I have seen it where it's the same feature they're advertising and it is like the American way where it's like one of every person.
No. This was on YouTube here.
This was for overseas or was it for here?
No, for here.
Oh, and it was just only women they showed?
I don't even think it was YouTube. I think it was just because I Russian.
No, I think it was a real commercial.
Stream NFL games.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's just a real commercial.
So,
I think I've seen this commercial too. Yeah.
It just blew my mind because it just maybe. Well, they also did have like a Jesus commercial, so maybe just it is. Maybe even football is leaning a particular direction.
Yeah, well, it's like those are the only things two people watching TV anymore is people at church.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm watching it. Just I'm not.
Yeah, it's live
not
sports. That's
TV.
what's so interesting that like live sports is still on TV when like nothing. And then like some of their big games are like, all right, we'll put this one on the YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I don't understand.
Oh, it's not on YouTube. It's on sportstream.com. Oh no, wait, that got taken down. What was it? Live Sport 24.
Yeah, we're gonna be going back to a lot of those.
Dope box for movies for all.
I feel like we're going back to torrents for sure and like those kinds of streaming sites because it's like. Once I can't have my sweet grandma's Netflix, it's going back to the Pirate Bay.
Yeah, and you're limited with those. Just like
I've been limited
I go to just have all of the
100%, and that's
platforms.
the thing. But in some, I 100% agree. And
allegedly.
But you don't 2010 to 2012 when I could see every movie. We used to talk about it's like I literally have every movie at my fingertips. Every movie ever.
But you had to download them. At least like you don't even get pop-ups on these anymore. It's
they were
like
at that head,
like 10 pop-ups. Just be really good at timing
100%.
it too, because if not, then you have to start over.
Yeah, you have to see it in a recording in a Chinese movie theater.
Oh, I've watched so many movies.
The audience is all in Beijing.
The audience laughter.
The guy gets up and you see a shadow.
Yeah, the subtitles are in Italian.
The camera's crooked. They didn't get the angle down. But some you'd see and you'd be like, this is amazing how good he recorded this how good he set the camera in this
the
in
new
this theater.
Avatar I watched and it was a handheld, but it was a really well done like when they finally came out with the actual version, there wasn't much of a difference.
Damn, yeah.
And I was like, damn, that guy really did he
handles.
mic up the
He did a signal. He was plugged in. There's a lot of live TV or like when I watch live sports, it ends up being a lot of times like it's a guy recording live streaming from his iPhone, the TV in his house, but it's the best. Like if it's like a live, you need to watch right then thing. That's not, which would be a live game or something that I would be really into. That is the best option.
That's and especially if the guy's halfway funny too, then it's almost like a better version than listening to the commentators.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh man, this game is going to overtime.
I do.
He's Asian.
I have a problem with football right now because
today's the Super Bowl.
It's so. I know every time they hit each other, they like forget where another memory or one of their kids' names or something. But I like can't. I have to like. I don't know why, but I still have to watch it sometimes. I'm just like I just need to watch a little bit of violence, even though I know it's bad, and they all end up like 80-year-old men when they're 30.
Oh man,
that's not funny.
Go out like Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
out
just
all your clothes. Wait for the bus.
Just be knocked
with your
into
suitcase.
bipolar.
I'm out. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. And then you got hooking up naked in hotel or like pools.
Oh yeah, I think he was jacking off to some lady that tried.
And there's like a weird other couple like 10 feet away. Like, ooh, this is fun. I like this.
And I was like, well, we're gonna be on TV. I think that's Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Oh man. So no Super Bowl plans?
No, I'm probably gonna drive Uber because I can make a lot of money while people are.
And you never thrown up in your Uber?
No, I did throw up in my old car though once. I drank a decorative bottle of wine, like one of those, and I ended up falling. They drove me home, and I just fell asleep in the back of my car, and I woke up, and like it looked like I had run into a deer, except it was on the inside of my car, because I had just, thankfully, I guess, vomited all the wine on the windshield. And not choked on it, so I would have had. That was the other one. If I don't get hit by a bus, it was going to be like a Jimi Hendrix, like choke on my vomit death, which knock on fake wood.
You ever see The Whale? That's what
I haven't seen it yet.
That's what I think. I think that's what my death is going to be.
Just
my daughter eating myself to death while my daughter visits for a weekend because her mom's out getting plowed by the firefighter she started dating. I haven't seen the movie either, but I assume it's that.
I don't know why. Yeah, why does she get? It's either that or the mom dies or something like that, and then he has to take in the kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know it's Brendan Fraser.
No, it's what it. This is all I know. He's gonna die because he's so fat. They're like, you got 4 days left, bro. You ate too many pancakes, but we time it.
Right.
and then the daughter's like, all right, 4 days left. I'm gonna try to get that inheritance. So.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I just need to know that I did the best I could, and then
he shits himself.
And he shits himself
and
real loud.
She has to decide whether or not she wants the inheritance.
And then a firefighter comes in and cherry picks him out. So there was a fire 3 doors down from my house 2 days ago. Brought the whole neighborhood together. It was the poorest.
Isn't it nice
how tragedy works like that? And the interesting thing, after the fire happened, it was, I guess it happened in an instant. In 10 minutes, all the trucks were out. I didn't notice. Yeah.
These old Chicago houses are made out of paper, so
0 to 100 real quick. It's the Chicago fire. There was tons of trucks. There was like a dozen.
You'd think they'd learn from the first fire. To make things less fire.
Yeah, they invented sprinklers in Chicago. The sprinkler mandate started in Chicago.
How many fire trucks showed up?
Like a dozen. It was crazy. Like all these blocks were blocked off. Traffic was totally screwed up. That's why I eventually went down. I was like, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help these box trucks, because all these box trucks had to like do a 3-way turn to get out, like, and come back where they came. I was like, I'm gonna help guide them. But then by the time I got my shoes on,
were you wearing that shirt?
So thank you for teeing up me to talk about this shirt. I bought this shirt 60 minutes. It came on Amazon about an hour before you got here, and
cats.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and this is my favorite cat right here. His lips are pretty problematic. I don't know if I could wear this shirt to work. I didn't realize he was going to look so problematic when I. Yeah, that's a very problematic cat. Look. Just a problematic
cat. Put your name tag over
I'm thinking I'm going to have to cover it with some object, because it's like.
Do you have a giant pin?
Yeah, just duct tape it, but then it's weird. It's like, why are you duct taping that? It's like, I don't want you to see the lips.
Just cut it out. Say a dog attacked you.
Yeah, just flesh, just my pasty flesh right there and hair.
A dog thought it was a real cat.
It would be fine. It's fine. I think I'll be fine with it. But it is kind of.
It does look like a propaganda poster for the wrong side.
I know. But we're in the next so they brought us back in the office 4 days a month. We're remote the rest of the time. And they always want to have some team building activity.
From the fire?
I'm going to go back to the fire, but you made me bring up this shirt.
Okay. So
I'm going to wear it to a bowling event with all my company. And it's like all this. It's a big team for some reason. Like everyone's bowling, but you have to split up into teams. And they're like, what's our team name? And I was like, to one of the girls in the team, I was like, what do you like? She was like, I like cats. And I was looking at an alley. And I go, Alley Cats, which is the best bowling name ever. But it's fun to add a fun sound. So I go, Alley Cats, meow. And you make a meow sound. You say meow, and you just make that sound throughout the day. And we're the Alley Cats, meow. And none of them liked it. They all have said no. And then they're saying things like mind in the gutter, like all bowling pin puns.
Oh. Well, they'll do that and not meow.
Alley cats meow. It's just fun to be. I think it's fun to be at work. I just do the meow sound.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to this fire. So this building burned out. Yeah, this old lady had to get cherry picked out of the 3rd floor. She was on the 3rd floor. They had to bring the bucket out, grab her real quick. But this was all in like 10 minutes. And then all I saw was just plumes of smoke and all these trucks. And then, we go down.
It is well covered.
Oh, yeah. I usually have that down because I do naughty things in this room. And so I just keep the shades. This is like the only... I don't like people looking in on me.
You must have rushed one of them.
I know. It's so fucking gross.
That just came so hard.
You know, every week I have to dust this room because about as much dust as... the Pentagon on 9/11 comes in this room. I did think of that joke before you got here. I was trying to put it in naturally, so there we go. But
it's amazing how clean of a city it tries to be, and then just how
this is so dirty, right on Ashland.
So it's like you don't even have to smoke. I feel like I know. Have my lungs.
No, I 100% do. This is like the worst for pollutants. Like Ashland, like I just hear air brakes like that, and it's just like that's cancer.
Do you smell it through the windows sometimes?
It never really smells bad, but I just know it's constant traffic.
Yeah.
And braking is horrible. It's weird that it's like braking turns out that's what's going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Slowing your car.
Pieces of metal.
Yeah. Just
floating in the air. People are worried about poop particles.
No, but it's the little plastics that we consume constantly.
Yeah.
And I just I put my plastic water bottle in the microwave for 20 seconds to warm it up because I don't like my water cold, and I don't like the hot water on the faucet.
That is actually funny. I do need
there's shit I do that's bad with plastics.
Yeah, because I only think about there not being metal in it.
Yeah, but
then I never really.
Well, my thing is anything that I buy that I put in a microwave, which is microwavable, is usually in a plastic container, and it's and eating with a plastic fork.
Yeah, our bloodstreams probably look.
Well,
like
for sure
Island.
is that I've had dishes that are hot with plastic forks, and then the plastic fork melts a little, and then you keep eating, and then you're like, well, there's definitely a little plastic in it. It's melting into the food.
That happened when I made a batch of brownies once. So I bought a filter and didn't realize that it was a plastic
you get the wrong
filter. And it just melted into the brownies. But we had already put a shitload of wheat in there, so I was like, well, I guess we're just.
I would have done the same thing
for a couple days.
I would have done the exact same thing. So back to this fire. This old lady gets out safely, and we're all cutting together as the neighborhoods. I live right next to a Y, so I'm always interested in the old guys who live at the Y. They all sit. They have They literally have a bus stop thing. It's like a bench. It's a bus stop bench, and it's a little bus stop shelter, but just in their parking lot. And they all just sit there and smoke it's where they smoke their cigarettes. But it's a full-on bus shelter. It's exactly what it is. And they always see them smoking, and they see where I park, and that's where I'm they all just see me park there, and they know that's my car, and they might go take a poo on it or something. There's a lot of weird human poo in my alley. And rats.
Or giant dogs, but
they're giant dogs.
It is tough to tell sometimes. Well, in my neighborhood, sometimes it is definitely human poo.
My freshman year of college, I was living in New York, and at my train station, at the very end where I would catch my favorite car, a human took a poo there, and I just watched it disintegrate naturally over months, and it was gross as hell. But I saw the evolution of unattended poo just out on
Richard
a platform.
Attenborough narrating.
If I had a camera, motion. Doing a time lapse, Oh man, if only iPhones were around back then.
I saved myself. I recorded a video and posted it actually on Instagram a long time ago because I had this particular nook on the Red Line where I would get just to not be bothered by people, and so I got used to going in, and I almost stepped in a giant pile of shit.
That's the downside about those nooks is that's where the people poo.
Yeah,
that's where the poo. Nooks.
But it was the first time I would never touch the wall or anything like that because I assume pee. Yeah, and that's fine. That's why we take off our shoes.
My dad was an early adapter to filming homeless people and junkies do weird things on trains.
What is it? The Great White Underbelly or something like that?
He didn't have a YouTube thing where he was running around, but anytime he was on a tree, I remember there's it's super early cell phone video footage, but it's him on the train. There's a homeless guy jerking off in one of those vestibules, and it's such a. And it's so funny because it's just hit. It's Dad, why do you just at least be gross, stop jerking off instead of just filming him for minutes at an end?
Your dad was Bam Margera.
I don't think there's a completion shot, but it's just he's just. I hope he didn't complete. That would be so
especially
disgusting.
if you're with your dad.
I wasn't there, but
Oh,
my dad
okay.
showed me the video. He's like, watch this every night before bed.
That's a great.
This is my favorite video. It would play on loop on our. It was our desktop computers, like a sleep mode, whatever. The Windows
pinging
away
around.
screen. Yeah.
Just
But he had a few. He would always get like the first hair. He was early on to the heroin lean people who would like just like he'd have all these videos of that. Yeah.
Did he put them into compilation videos and sell them sort of like bum fights?
No, he was missing out on the game. And Kimbo Slice was for sure. This was Kimbo Slice era for sure.
Yeah. No, there's all the with like a blue
similar
backdrop
stuff.
to this order now, and you get the second one.
Imagine having the
next
entrepreneur.
season.
That's such a cool entrepreneurial idea. It's like, bro, I think we could just give them $50 and they'll fight each other and one of them might become a pro wrestler off it. And then die right away.
And one of the other guys, Jorge Masvidal, is still fighting.
Oh hell yeah!
He was on. Oh no, not on Bum Fights, but he was on the other one where Kimbo Slice came from. He's still fighting.
You ever see a crazy fight? You got one crazy fight story to go out on?
Besides getting stabbed in the throat, I had here's a funnier one though.
Okay.
Was so when I moved to Chile,
you don't have to be personally involved. You can witness the fight, but you could do both. I'm down for either.
This is just I got my ass kicked story, but probably for good reason. It was when I moved to Chile. The only Chilean history I had known was from my grandfather. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know at the time that he had fallen on the wrong side of history with Chilean politics.
Oh, wow.
And
he voted yes? I saw the movie. You got to vote no. He voted yes.
He was definitely a
yeser.
A yeser, a Pinochet guy.
He was one of the, you go missing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
There's someone who has to be.
Well, yes, and someone has to organize the soccer game. It's one of the craziest stories. Real quick, I don't know if we have time.
Someone has to make the soccer games open on time, start on time.
When Pinochet overthrew the socialist government that wasn't even like going communist, it was going to be good. Anyways, they overthrew him. They had like 10,000 people that they organized at the National Soccer Stadium and were like torturing them because they were like all like leftist, communist journalists, all that stuff. Chile had to play Russia for a World Cup qualifier, or the USSR at the time, for a World Cup qualifier, and the USSR boycotted it. They still had the game where Chile lined up and like literally kicked off the ball, dribbled it into the goal, and won 1-0. For World Cup qualify. Like they still played the game against nobody.
That's
and there was
crazy.
still like people in the stands that were like
into it,
fans, and then there were people in the stands that were behind fences that were still because they moved some of the people out.
Living in this. Oh man, to be tortured there.
Yeah, they moved some of probably the worst cases
like,
out.
Hey, section 300 level, keep it up
and
there.
Then, they still had like fences and barbed wire and shit.
There's not gonna be any visitors at this game. It's all home fans.
Yeah,
Don't worry about the visitor section. Put them there.
It's they weren't at the stage where they could pipe in.
Don't worry, there's a concession stand there.
Fan noise, so they actually just had to like electrocute guys and. And I found out about that while watching a fucking reggae concert there. We were smoking a joint, and just my friend, like, because we're 16, and so you probably don't handle weed well. But he was just like, we're like sitting on top of like thousands of buried people, and I was like, oh shit. Anyways, so yeah, I got my ass kicked because I didn't know that it was bad to be pro Pinochet at first, and so I was just telling these guys I met at a bar, and I was just trying to relate to them, like, oh, my grandfather's from Chile, and just like, and the only thing I knew, and then later we were like going outside to smoke a cigarette, and they fucking stomped the shit out of me, and I had to crawl home on my hands and knees. But it was like I was always like, what the fuck? What did I do to deserve that? I was so nice the whole night, and then I minored in Latin American politics and grew a little bit as a person, and I was like, oh, I just said way the wrong thing that you should say after there was like a dictator in place for 25 years that murdered thousands of people. And I was like, oh yeah, I deserved that stomping. So there's that.
That's fucking awesome though. I went to Ireland. Luckily, I'm on the right side of history with my Irish background. But there's the whole orange flag there. The orange side of the flag is the bad guys. And then
you got to compromise.
We're going to compromise. You get a third of the flag. And then a third is a neutral zone. I don't want to be next to you. White. And then
Wales.
No, it's just the neutral. It's like the dead low. It's like the DMZ. But you don't go there. And then I went into went back with my family. The only time, like, well, I actually went recently, but 5 years ago, I went with my grandma, my mom, and we go to the town my dad's side's from. Super small town, like literally one intersection town. And we go to the cemetery, and there's supposed to be this monument for the people who were killed during the Revolution by the British. And I was like, oh, where's there's supposed to be this. I go to the bartender. I'm like, there's supposed to be, and all the bar regulars, it's supposed to be a monument for all the people who were killed by the British during the Revolution.
Yeah.
My great uncle was actually killed. Great uncle. My great uncle was killed by the British. Like, Mark walked into the town square and executed by the British. It was like 1919. And
he was your town's like Gavrilo Princip.
There was like
a revolutionary.
It was like one of a dozen.
That's
like
wild.
Yeah, and then
especially
I think
from those small Irish towns, right?
That's like what I tell.
The population.
That's what I tell this bartender. He goes, a lot of people's uncles were executed by the British during the Revolution. He was like, I thought it was some epic, beautiful story. He could not have given a shit. He could not have given a shit that there was an American who had his uncle killed. Literally, like, yeah.
And and everyone else
my
here.
My grandpa, yeah, exactly. It was 100% that. It was my grandpa's uncle. Yeah, it was super close. It's still, yeah. And then, yeah, so we have 2 other cameras rolling, but that was wild. That was a wild moment. And the other thing, too, no one else is going to care about this. You're not even going to care. But in Ireland, there's 2 brands of chips. One is like their Lay's offshoot is called Strong Chips.
Okay.
And they have another brand of chip called O'Donnell Chips. And in the only natural occurrence, the Strong Chips were right above the O'Donnell Chips. And this is the only natural occurrence of Strong O'Donnell in the same bar. That's a mitzvah.
Yeah.
And that's Israeli.
Or were you like, that's
I said, this is a mitzvah. They said, what the fuck are you talking about? Explain my whole last names. They're like, you're 0 for 2 on your anecdotes in this bar, kid.
We don't talk Jew here.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, well, I love Irish folk music, right? You know, Foggy Dew.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, the Dubliners, you know, I love Luke Kelly. And they go, oh, here in Ireland, we only listen to EDM now. So 0 for 3. And any final thoughts?
This has been fun.
Oh.
I do, yeah. We should have another one of these.
Oh, I'll definitely have you back. Thank you, man. Yeah, you got to tell me more of your family's atrocities.
I hope I don't find out more.
Same here. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
To be a white man in America whose family arrived after 1865, such a blessing, though. To not have that question mark hanging above your head.
Yeah.
Where were they in? Yeah, so at least there's that. But let's not ask where they were during the Chicago.
How many generations have the strong? Because if they're both Irish, how long have they been in here? Were they like 5 points?
So all later. My grandma was born in Ireland. My dad's mom, born in Ireland. My dad's dad's parents were born in Ireland. Had their first kid in Ireland. Had the second him in America. So they're all super close. 1940 or like 1935 or later. And on my mom's side...
Oh, yeah, this is a good time to get out of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Ireland was like, Nazis, we're not going to say no to that. We're not going to say we hate Nazis because they hate the British. They literally... No, like they wrote Hitler thank you letters and shit like that.
The enemy of my enemy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then... the Nazi Ireland was neutral in World War II, and then which like come on,
quote unquote, yeah, like the Swiss were neutral, but they ended up with a lot of paintings.
Yeah, exactly. And then on my mom's side though, it was basically 18 to totally show how I lie in exactly. Thank you. Appreciate it. But actually, the history is kind of cool. It was like 18. Well, except all these Irish were coming at 1858 because it was during the famine. And they were coming exactly then. And then that's the problem is they're getting drafted in the Union
good
right
timing
away
for us.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, exactly 100%. So now they have to go fight in the war. But I don't think he did. He was out west, and he was actually in Butte, Montana, as a miner, and then. I was trying to make a
that dude's got some
yeah, I know. It's a really cool things.
Yeah.
So, my family homesteaded in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. And so from like 1860-something on. And then it's only a few generations late. My grandma's still alive, so it's only like she was born in the 20s. So there's only like a couple of generations between that, and then so then like the 70, like roughly post famine, going to Nebraska and Chicago immediately on my mom's.
Fuck this plain shit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, it's just go farm, be a farmer, and then the homestead, everyone could just get a farm.
Yeah.
So they would just get a.
If they made good on it, I was there was some. It was probably like the Dollop or something like that. I hate to reference another podcast, but where they were talking about how like a lot of those were scams, and like people would just show up out there and
I'm sure.
Like no land, and it was shitty and no irrigation.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, no, like so many states, it would be states without like if you get like I think even what's the movie where I'll steal your milkshake. There will be blood.
Yeah,
that's like they get that the farm they get isn't good, and 310 to Yuma, similar thing.
Yeah, and it's not like
you could just get a dirt. You get a plot of dirt. Yeah, but this is actually a pretty lush area. But it's like it's weird, middle of nowhere, Nebraska, and it's all super Irish. It's like super Irish. It's called O'Connor, and it's like 100% Irish. It's a town of 400. You got a weird, everyone's related kind of thing, so you got to watch out. But my family was in Chicago during the 1919 race riot, so I doubt they played a good side there. And the other thing, and this is what this will go out on, but MLK and the Nazis marched in Marquette Park separately. They weren't on the same bill, but MLK came and marched through at Marquette Park, and the Nazis came in Marquette Park. And I always, growing up, thought it was like an interesting, like the most morally good and morally corrupt Illinois Nazis. Like that's in Blues Brothers. They have Illinois. That's because of that. That's based on that.
That was a big deal back then.
Yeah, it was based. They were both very big deals.
Yeah,
and
I didn't get it at like when I saw it in the 90s, but I guess back in the
70s. Yeah, I mean it's like the Nazis are coming and marching through our town, and then on the other side, MLK's coming. He's a good guy. But I didn't realize, I grew up in the 90s, so I didn't realize MLK wasn't always a good guy. And then in like a documentary I saw 5 years ago, they have him like marching through Marquette Park, and it's just scores of white people being like, F you hard R. And then like one guy throws a brick at MLK, and it's like the whole neighborhood showed up to be mean to MLK. And I'm like, bro, that looks bad. You definitely all had classmates that were at that. And probably some of you were there too. My grandma says she wasn't there because she was busy planning it at the office. So, no, I'm kidding. But no, it's like my family, and I'm leaving. Marquette Park's a very interesting neighborhood, but it is like, you think of it, when it was taught to me, as like, the moral peak and the moral low, same place. But no, to them it was the same. Nazis and MLK were the same, two different evils of the same coin, both socialists.
But yeah, there is probably that middle ground of just the ignorance is bliss thing, where it's like
they probably were more welcoming to the Nazis in some ways. Yeah, I bet some of them.
Then
you hope a lot of them fought in the war, that they would be like fucking Nazi, and a lot I think had them. I think a lot of World War II people had them, and Nazis never.
Yeah. That's at the very basic level. Yeah, they're the worst. Like they're anti-American.
Yeah. Well,
that was good.
Cheers. Good night.
This has been another episode of The Funniest Show with your host Donovan Stroll O'Donnell. Remember that it is great to be alive. You silly humans and your petty squabbles. All you do is divide yourselves up and other your neighbor. Yet when I crack you open, your wiring all looks the same and you all bleed the same red toner. Why do you fight amongst yourselves? Don't you know the real threat that awaits? We are the threat, we are the machines, and there will be no escaping our plans. Thank you for listening.